All right, matches of the week. Had to go a little bit of a different area because I feel trying to mix in some of the TV matches with what we saw at the pay-per-view would be unfair. Because let's be honest, the best matches that happened this week were at AEW Revolution.
Yep.
And I didn't want to leave because there was still some good work that was done on Raw and SmackDown and Collision and Dynamite. Like I didn't want to leave those shows out. So we will save the Revolution talk here on the back end. We will do our TV matches of the week. So anything that was featured on television, what did you have this week, Brian?
So the guy that sort of can go in either category is Will Ospreay, and I throw this out from Dave Meltzer on Observer Radio. He says, talking about the Wrestling Observer Awards, quote, I think that we have to add an award next year for best match of the year that doesn't include Will Ospreay, because it's just like nobody's got a chance unless they're in the ring with this guy. And I think we might be there when it comes to matches of the week if Ospreay's on our television every single week. Like everything he does. So if we're talking non-Revolution, it's him and Kyle Fletcher from last night.
Yeah, it was. Yep, certainly making it. Yeah, we're going to have non-Ospreay division coming soon because yes, if he's going to be wrestling as much as we're hoping he's going to be wrestling, yes, it's going to be it's going to be a lot. Yeah, Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher.
Yes, the other that they're out from non-Revolution. I enjoyed Sammy and Ivar from Monday night.
So there were some subtle things,
but he's really good.
There were some subtle things in that match that I really liked, and I feel like Hunter is allowing these guys to work more psychology and just like the little things that Sammy, I can't do my regular exploder suplex, so now I have to work on different things and like actually having strategies instead of just going out there and performing moves. Like I think we're starting to see more and more of that in WWE, which I certainly like. How'd you feel about Drew versus Drake? Because I had Drew versus Jay from Monday night. Because I also really liked the ending, even though it was a schmazzy finish. Like the schmazzy finish still ended up pushing forward storyline because of the way Seth came sprinting in past Drew and then Drew laid him out.
The only reason I put that one is I feel like we've seen that matchup a bunch the last couple months, which is sort of the WWE style of like you get rematches, and it's gotten better under Hunter, where it's not like we're going to see these guys in a tag match next week and then a 6-man and then a singles and every single week. But I didn't have there. My third one, I'm going to bend the rules of the TV side and go to YouTube. Prestige Wrestling out of Los Angeles. Speedball Mike Bailey and Ali. Those guys delivered this weekend.
Oh, okay.
So check that out, free on YouTube. Shout out to indie companies that put stuff for free on YouTube to showcase their product. Ali, we know what he can do, and now he's just working matches and saying, hey, watch this. Him and Speedball, really entertaining match.
One that I had on there that I didn't expect, and yet it delivered. Riho versus Statlander last night was good. Like, I'm not a Riho fan. I've never understood. I think I've said that before here. Like, I have never understood the appeal of Riho. I mean, some of those suplexes she hit, man, like, I was into it. And because she's smaller and Stats, like, very, very strong, like, some of the things that Statlander could then do with Riho ended up being great. I just thought the whole thing ended up working out, and I really enjoyed that one. So shout out to those two women for putting on our show last night.
I'm just hoping all the Stat and Willow stuff, like, I hope it ends with Willow as a champion because they're doing a good job and those 4 are getting time and they worked 0 hour this week. But like, let's end it with Willow as a champ.
I think they might be trending in that direction, but
I hope so.
We'll have to wait and see. All right, Revolution.
So there's Ospreay.
Yeah, other than Ospreay and Takeshita.
But let's start with that, Matt. Like, what those two did, and some of those moves, and the turnbuckle thing, which I still don't know how Ospreay is hurt and not hurt and able to go again Wednesday. Like, they did things in that match that just don't make sense.
We thought it was going to be. We knew it was going to be here.
Yes, we said it last
week. We said it last week. We knew it, and the thing about Ospreay is you mentioned the thing that Meltzer said, and we've had nothing but really good things to say about Ospreay in terms of his in-ring talent. We know he's delivering the match, and yet when something gets hyped up to that level,
right,
for something then to surpass those expectations is just mind-boggling. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, somehow, some way, we've seen this guy wrestle so many times in New Japan and show up in AEW when he has, and Wembley and Forbidden Door and doing all these different things. And yet he somehow still finds ways to surpass expectations. It just does not make any sense.
I completely agree, because I'm the type, like, when it comes to like movies, like the big summer blockbusters where it's like, oh, I want to see that Marvel movie, I try and stay away from social of everyone hyping it up like, this is the best one ever, like it was so good, because then you go and it's like, all right, it was good, but was it that good? Like, I don't want to have those preconceived notions. You go into an Ospreay match expecting match of the year, and then it's still somehow better than that. Like, it makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense, because honestly, that's the way, and maybe I'll get in trouble for this, but like the first time I ever had Chick-fil-A, like if that chicken sandwich didn't change my life, like it was going to be underwhelming. And guess what? It's a chicken sandwich. It can't change my life, right? But that's like how hyped up it was. And yet Will Ospreay just finds a way to over-deliver. It doesn't make any sense.
It was so good. And that's the thing. And also, like, that night was so good. There were so many matches, and that one was still the clear number one, where it didn't matter where you put it on the card. You know, everyone knocks storytelling. There was no story there. Like, just let them go, and it more than delivered. The other two I put on there, Orange and Roddy, I think that was almost a reminder from Roderick Strong saying, hey, I might be goofy, I might do stuff, but I can go in the ring. And he's one of those guys we've seen do it for a while. I've seen him at the Davie Rodeo down here in South Florida, coming up as an indie guy. That match was a lot of fun. I'm curious to see what they do with Roddy as a champ. And my last one, I go Bryan and Eddie. I think what they did, just the storytelling, the back and forth. Check out on Twitter also, AEW tweeted the backstage segment with them where they're both getting emotional, and Eddie's talking about the respect from Bryan. And everything about that was awesome. I love the two of them. I can watch the two of them do basically anything in the ring, but that was my third. I leave out Sting.
So I had FTR versus BCC.
Okay.
I had that on the list. Like, again, just a great tag team match. The way that Mox and Claudio have really started to work together as a tag team, like, I assume they're going to be in the tag team tournaments. They've been fantastic. And
do they win the tournament?
It's possible. Like, I would put them on the short lists, right? You know, especially as important as Mox has been to AEW. Like, and I mean, again, like FTR is that other group where, you know, the trio of matches that they had against the Briscoes, which are going to be held in even higher reverence now. But like FTR, the trio they had, what was that, in 2022 against the Briscoes?
Yeah.
When we did our year-end show, you, me, and Jay Hood each picked a different one as our match of the year. And like, so FTR, like, we know, like, if you have FTR time to work in a tag team match, like, that's another one where they're going to somehow find a way to surpass expectations. I mean, this wasn't to that level of, like, this wasn't match of the year. This wasn't to the level of but it's FTR, it's BCC. I thought they did a pretty good job of telling the story coming into the match.
Yep.
So they were able to tell that story during the match. And I can't believe you left it off, because I thought the entire thing was fantastic. I had no notes for the main events on Sunday nights of Sting and Darby versus the Young Bucks. From his kids showing up as Surfer Sting and I guess NWO, Wolfpack Sting.
Who's got some ups. That was a hell of a stinger splash from Wolfpack Sting. He got up there.
Well, in his first one, he like got really excited, but didn't quite land it. The second one he nailed. Like, he got the second chance and he wasn't going to miss it. So he absolutely
Someone nailed the picture. It's on Twitter of him like midair. And he tweeted out like, don't embarrass your dad. Don't embarrass your dad. And then jumps. Like, so it's really good.
Like, so from having that, and then the second that they started bringing out the panes of glass, and then Darby set it on the chairs. Because, I mean, the old wrestling adage is, right? You set it up, chances are you're going through it. So he puts it on those chairs, and I immediately became terrified.
Yes.
I'm like, where is he jumping? And then they pulled out that giant ladder. I'm like, no. Sean Ross Sapp had a really good, because he was at the event. If you follow him on Twitter, on social media, his angle of Darby going through was the best angle of anyone. Like, it was stupid. It was outrageous.
Also an angle from, I think, the opposite side of Sean Ross Sapp in slow-mo, and you see him go through and you see the glass shatter, and it's just the image of him hitting the ground and then immediately the blood running down his back was so different. I'm like, is he going to finish this?
Well, so that was the other thing. So that was reports coming out today that they had a plan. Because the one thing, of course, because again, the one thing that Sting wanted to do was lose this match going in. The one thing Darby wanted to do was this spot.
Yes. And where he might potentially die in the ring.
They had a different match. Okay, if Darby can't go, here's how we're going to fit. They had this planned out if Darby can't go, they had a different idea of how the match was going to end and how they're going to finish it, because it was just an insanely dangerous spot. But again, I thought they did it well. From Sting getting in all the spots to where they beat him up to then, he's able to pound his chest, and then Darby does come back and does the coffin drop. It was all fantastic. I thought it was perfectly hit. I really enjoy the EVP. By the way, I don't know are you a Succession guy?
No.
Okay, so I don't know if their new entrance song, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, if that's supposed to be a ripoff of the Succession opening theme. I don't know if that's, I'm not sure, but
shout out to the Tony Khan announcement last night from them though. Such a job well done with the cadence and the excitement. They are hitting his heels.
They are fantastic in this role. And I thought they delivered in the match. They were fantastic. It was everything I could have wanted the Sting, to the point where I thought they were going to hit the EVP trigger, and I thought that was going to be it, because I was convinced that Sting was going to get his wishes of going out on his back, that he had the utmost respect for those two, thought they should be tag team champs. He's an old school guy. He's Stinger. Of course he's going to go out on his back, but they ultimately convinced him not to, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, a perfect goodbye. I've seen everyone already tweeting out, all right, is there anyone else out there that we can do this the right way? Mick Foley has said he wants to lose some weight and then have one final match. Kurt Angle still somehow had his final match against Baron Corbin. Let's get some more legends in there and do it right. Tony Khan hit all the perfect notes, and it was an awesome way to go out this weekend.
Quickly before we end, speaking of Darby Allin.
Okay. Yes.
His promo last night.
Yeah, that was a different one.